Good afternoon, everyone. This is David Cerns with Haley Marketing, and welcome to today's Lunch with Haley webinar. So today we are going to be talking about a subject that I'm sure is near and dear to everybody's heart, which is winning the passive talent wars and some ideas for your recruiting. And I'm guessing for everybody who is listening in today, that you are struggling to get enough people to fill your open orders, you're struggling to get the people who apply to show up, and you're struggling to get them to fill and finish assignments. So we're going to talk today about a lot of ideas. We're going to talk about ideas to improve recruiting. We're going to talk to ideas to how to improve the candidate experience, and ultimately, hopefully, you'll walk away with a few ideas that can make an impact on your business in the coming months and what's likely to be coming years. All right, so let's get started, and let's focus on what we need to solve. What's really going on in the world? What's the problem? Well, for those of you old enough to remember James Carville and his advice to, I believe it was President Clinton, it's the economy, stupid. Well, fast forward just about 30 years. And it's the economy, stupid, is really what's going on right now. We've obviously gone through an unprecedented challenge in the past few years. And the bottom line is we're facing what is now, and it was termed at the Staffing Industry Executive Forum, not as a talent shortage or as a talent war, but as a talent crisis. So what does that mean, a talent crisis? Well, if you look at the unemployment rate, we are back to near record lows. I think the record low is around 3.4% just prior to the pandemic, and it is now back down to 3.8%. But if you're a fan of Ron Popeil, wait, there's more. So there are fewer people on the sidelines, and this chart only goes to the end of 2020. I didn't find a more current one in grabbing it, but we don't have as many people who are underemployed. We don't have as many people who are looking for a job as we had in years past. And actually, we have a 10-plus year downward trend in people who want to work. Labor force participation has fallen from a high back in around the year 2000, 2001, back down to 1977 levels. We have lost, I believe it's 4.5 million people who are no longer considering themselves part of the labor market. And we have the Great Resignation. Quit rates, they're skyrocketing. They are at an all-time high. I believe in, let's see, check the data here. Yeah, in 2008, the average people leaving the workforce was around 15.3% in a year. Last year, it was 19.3%. We have more people than ever leaving. And, just doesn't get good enough. We also have the baby boomers really starting to hit their retirement years. And the level of retirements have increased. And even though more people need money to get by, the challenge they're facing is well, maybe not in the last few weeks, but they had done well enough in the market. They had picked up extra savings. The level of savings went up dramatically in the past 2 years. And so a lot of people just said, I can afford to retire earlier than I had planned, which is why we're seeing retirement rates accelerate. And one last one, if you're in staffing, you know this one. Let's not forget no call, no show. The rate of people, quote unquote, blowing us off and not showing up for interviews, not showing up for work, not showing up for second days is higher than it's ever been. And we're talking to some of our clients with numbers that are in the neighborhood of 50% or more of the people signing up for interviews don't show up. So I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know here. The bottom line is it's extremely hard to find and retain talent. So the big question, and what we're really here to talk about today during our time together, is how's the industry responding? Well, so far it's been through three primary mechanisms: advertising, we'll talk about that in a minute; technology. The executive forum this year felt more like a tech conference than it did a staffing conference. There's so much talk about all the technology products and automation and things to improve productivity and engage talent. And then good old-fashioned creativity. And I think that's where we're going to spend most of our time today, is on creative ideas to use tools that you have at your disposal to get more people to find and apply to your jobs. Okay, so when it comes to searching for talent, what's the industry doing right now? Number one, increasing ad spend. If those of you who are listening are not already following our Director of Recruitment Marketing, Matt Lozar, on LinkedIn, you need to be. Go to LinkedIn, find Matt's profile, Matt Lozar, and watch the webcasts or LinkedIn video presentations that he's doing, where he addresses how staffing companies are dealing with their ad spend and some of the advice and misadvice that they're getting. We see people spending more money on fewer jobs, actually increasing their cost per apply, rather than looking at ways to spend money more efficiently. They're just spending more. We do see people testing new job boards. There are more places than ever to advertise your jobs. We are big fans of testing. By and large, we are not finding any job boards that produce a lower cost per apply than the major sites, but some of these boards will get you to candidates that the major sites do not. So even though you may pay a little more per application, adding them into the mix may give you a larger quantity of total applications to choose from. Social media. I think every staffing company is now highly engaged on social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, playing with TikTok. Companies are finding creative ways to share jobs on social. We're seeing a big boost, a big increase in companies looking at programmatic job advertising management, which is a fancy way of saying using software to better manage all that money you spend on the job boards. We're seeing that programmatic, on average, will reduce the cost per application by 17% over the first 3 months and 33% within 6 months, getting you more applications without spending more on job advertising. A lot of technology to better reach and engage talent. We're going to talk more about this at the end of the presentation, but whether it's chatbots or automation tools like Sense and Herefish, or marketing automation platforms like HubSpot and ActiveCampaign, there's a lot of technology going into the staffing industry to improve talent engagement, improve candidate retention. Companies are getting creative, providing more incentives for referrals and improving their referral bonus programs. But what we have here really is a game plan that is designed to market to active job seekers. And according to data from LinkedIn, that represents about 30% of the job market. So that means we have to find a way to reach the other 70%. They're not going to the job boards. They're not really interested when you post a job. They're not going to have any sort of positive response when you post something that says now hiring. We have to find ways to reach the people who are open to employment, but not actively looking. And it's those beloved passive job seekers, the 70% of candidates that are out there. How do we reach them? Well, let's talk about that. So first thing I'm going to ask you to do is remember a marketing truism, an acronym called AIDA, A-I-D-A. And what is AIDA? So any good marketing starts with thinking about awareness, interest, desire, action. And in marketing, they teach you that your strategy, your advertising, your outreach has to do things to get the attention of the buyer, to create them interest in the value you can deliver, to give them desire to choose your brand over all others, and then to get them to take action, which in the case of the job hunt is applying for the job. Awareness is making people recognize I'm unhappy because I don't love the job I have. Or life could be better. I don't have to deal with this, fill in the blank, problem anymore. Interest. Now we're getting people to think about, gee, working with a staffing company sounds interesting. Working with your company sounds really interesting. I like the idea of somebody helping me with my job search. I like the idea of somebody helping me to make more money, find a more rewarding career, get more flexibility, find a remote job. To the desire, I want this. Put me to work now. You're an awesome company. And what we're doing with our marketing is we're getting people to increase this level of emotional attachment to your organization, from simply being aware you exist to a strong desire for you to be their career partner. And the action, they're excited. I just applied with ABC Staffing. I can't wait to see how they work with me. Even better, they just got me a job. All right, so how do we put ADA into action? Well, there are some strategies that you know and some strategies maybe we'll introduce you to today. The first and most obvious is direct recruiting. We're going to talk a little bit, not much on direct recruiting, because my assumption is I'm talking to staffing professionals who are good at this. Then there's recruitment marketing. And at Haley Marketing, when we teach recruitment marketing, we teach people about 4 pillars that they should look to improve: their career sites, their job advertising, their social recruiting, and their employment branding, which also comprises reputation management. So having a game plan for all of that recruitment marketing is a strategy to bring in more candidates. Today, we're going to spend a lot of time with a subset of recruitment marketing to look at passive job advertising. So we can't run an ad on Indeed targeting passive job seekers because Indeed exists for active job seekers. But we can run ads in other places, online and in the real world, to try to attract people who would be interested in new opportunities. And we're going to wrap up today talking about ATS automation, tools like Sense and Herefish, and how you can use these tools to improve talent engagement, and just as importantly, to improve response to your website and increase referrals and redeployments. Okay, so let's take these one at a time. Let's start with direct recruiting. And as I said, my assumption is y'all beat me in this category, but let's cover some of the basics. So if I'm going to be an effective recruiter, I really need to know who my audience is. I need to have a profile of those ideal candidates. So what skills and experience am I looking for? What transferable skills could I use? Where do they work now? What kinds of companies, what industries, what specific employers? Who already knows these people that might become a great referral source? And once I've defined that, then I can start to use that profile to mine my database. Well, I can do searches in my ATS. I can go to third-party sites like Indeed and LinkedIn, CareerBuilder and Monster, Resume Library. I met somebody at the executive forum from a company I was really impressed with called Hire Easy. It's sort of like a search engine for talent. So definitely a company worth checking out. Then there's other services like Zoom Info, Discover.org. We use a tool called Seamless.ai to help identify list sources. And while Seamless doesn't portray itself as a recruiting tool, it's got such good sourcing or searching capabilities, you absolutely could use it to find talent for direct recruiting. And then once we know who we're going to mine, then we may use automation to reach out. We may use third-party offshore resources. We may good old-fashioned tell our recruiters, let's pick up the phone and let's blitz and get through talking to everybody. Then I'm going to look at sourcing technology, things like LinkedIn Recruiter. I'm going to put up a slide in a second, though. There's so many new sourcing technologies out there. I'm just going to give you the names of things to go check out, but there are tools that can help with outreach, tools can help improve response, tools that can help find talent, tools that can automate trying to connect with potential candidates, tools that can help you clean the information in your database. Just tons of sourcing technologies that are out there. And then the outreach itself, offshore, whether you're using somebody in India, the Philippines, nearshore, to do outreach via email, via telephone, when you have contact information and permission, via text messaging. And then there's good old-fashioned lots and lots of phone calls, lots and lots of messages through LinkedIn by your recruiters. As I said, I think everybody here should know this stuff. Probably the most valuable thing I can add right now is this list: technologies. There's so much out there: databases and list building technologies, automation technologies, sourcing technologies. So these are all different tools that can be used to help find, attract, and get talent interested in talking to your recruiters and people you've already met with in the past. Keep them engaged, stay top of mind, nurture relationships until those passive candidates are ready to look for a job. Okay, so that's strategy number one. Let's take a look at strategy number two. Now we're going to get into some more detail. Recruitment marketing. So Matt Lozar, our director of recruitment marketing, loves to say that recruitment marketing is everything that goes into getting someone to click the apply button, getting them to find your company, be interested in your jobs, want to work for you, see themselves as a part of your organization, be inspired by your employment brand, your mission, your vision, and apply to a job. But with passive job seekers, we're not starting at the level of the job. We actually have to start earlier. We have to think about, how are we going to get the right people to us? And just like recruiters would think about the ideal candidate to target, in marketing speak, that's all about defining audience personas. And so you'll do things like figuring out who are these people and where are these people, and you'll build a profile. So here's Marketing Mary, who's a customer persona example. Our average marketing person is 29. She's a senior marketing executive with 6 years experience. She's got a range of skills. She's got certain ways she likes to look for a job. She's got goals to achieve in her life. She's got pain points that come to her career, and balancing her career and her personal life. The reason for thinking about these personas is when you start to do marketing, particularly for passive candidates, you really need to get inside their head. You need to get inside the conversations they're having about their career, about their personal life, how they're trying to balance work and life, or integrate the two together instead of balancing them, how they're dealing with the challenges of the current workplace realities, remote work, dealing with career advancement, dealing with childcare, dealing with diversity, equity, and inclusion issues. The more complete you paint these personas, the easier it is to come up with ideas for content. And before anybody jumps on me saying, David, you can't use things like age and gender in recruiting because it's discriminatory. We're not using that for recruiting. We're using that to understand the most common candidates. And there's not going to be one persona. You may have multiples. I know I've talked to people in the locum tenens world where a lot of the doctors they place tend to fall into recently out of residency programs and early retirement. And those are very different personas in terms of why they're going to work locums, what their interests are, what their financial situation is, what they're looking to get out of their careers. And so the more you understand your audience, the easier it is to build your content strategy. And part of that content strategy is thinking about the reasons the person would be interested in a new job. Why would they be interested in getting back into the workforce if they've been on the sidelines for a while? Maybe they put a lot of money away because of the government incentives the past couple of years, and now you're looking to get them back to work. Maybe they had to, because of childcare, not work for a while, and they're feeling uncomfortable about that. Why would they be willing to work with a staffing partner? Only something around 20% of people who are active job seekers even think about working with our industry. So why should they be wanting to work with you? And you want to start brainstorming. Sit down with your recruiters right after this presentation and brainstorm things like, why would people look for a new job? So here's some things: because they're not being paid enough, benefits stink, their schedule's bad, they want remote, they have a boss that's a jerk, they don't feel appreciated, they want to learn new skills, they're just bored. You can see the list there. You can brainstorm. All of these rationale for a new job are the same kinds of topics that you might put into an email, into an advertisement, into social content to get the attention, ADA, of the person we're trying to reach. Then the why staffing. This is the interest. Why should they want to work with you? Oh, because I can apply to one company and get access to dozens or hundreds of jobs? Because you have access to jobs that I can't find anywhere else? because working with you is no risk. It's confidential. You bring the jobs to me because you do all the work. I don't have to. Job hunting's hard. You're going to make it easy. So again, if you look at the list here and you brainstorm with your team, the more ideas you can come up with for why people would be interested in a new job and why they'd want to work for you, the more you can create really compelling messages for each audience, each persona that you want to reach. Then you have to think about your EVP or employment brand. And EVP stands for Employee Value Proposition. And in plain English, it's, why should someone choose you? They can work wherever they want right now. Getting a job is pretty easy. So why should people choose you over another staffing company? Why should they choose you over a direct employer? What benefits do you offer? I know if you're in travel nursing, pretty much working with a travel nurse company means they're going to choose you because they're going to make more than working directly for a healthcare facility. And you can give them the freedom from the red tape and the bureaucracy of the healthcare organization. You can help them make more and live a better life. It's so many reasons to choose you. But if it's in light industrial staffing, maybe it's a little harder. Why would they choose you? What are you going to offer that they're not getting from the direct employer? And when thinking about employment branding right now, this is something that a lot of you are probably going to yell at me for because you don't like this. But I really think that staffing companies need to start integrating their client brands with their own employment brand. And historically, we haven't wanted to say who our clients are. And the simple reason is, we don't want to give the competitors any chance of knowing who we're selling to because our competitors will call on our clients. Well, the competitors are already calling on your clients. And right now, because your clients can't get the people they need, they're already calling your competitors. However, if you've got clients who have a strong employment brand and you can get permission to co-market using their name, their logo in your job advertising, in your social recruiting, in your employment branding, and you position yourself as an easier, better, faster way to get access to great companies, and you can give examples of those great companies, now you get a multiplier effect. Their employment brand plus your employment brand is better than either company alone. So historically, I know we haven't wanted to say who our clients are, and you absolutely want to get permission before you go do this. But a lot of clients now are going to be willing to let you do this because they're desperate for people. And if putting their logo in your ad helps you get the right talent for their temporary assignments or their temp to hire, direct hire, they're going to be more inclined to say, yes, let's do it. So in thinking about the ADA model here, we really think about almost a hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So the very bottom level of your employment brand, you have to be competitive with the market in terms of compensation and benefits. If you're way out of line, you pay less, you offer benefits that are just not comparable to what a direct employee would get or your competitors are offering, you're not meeting that basic contractual, and I don't really mean contract, but I mean the obligation you have as an employer. That's like the fundamental is I have to be competitive. Now, you can be differentiated in terms of the types of careers, the well-being you provide to your candidates, how you treat people, the service experience that you provide, the flexibility you give people, the range of job openings, the range of employer types, the training you provide. There's lots of different ways to differentiate your employment brand, your services from the competition. And the most way you can be unique is your business's purpose, is to connect with people at an emotional level. I actually just wrote a really long article that's on our blog. And you'll pardon me for what I'm about to say, but this is the title of it. And the title is called Differentiation is Bullshit. And the reason I wrote the article is I see a lot of companies trying to be differentiated at that careers and well-being level, or even at the competitive level, but they're not really doing anything different because so many staffing companies are similar. And when a lot of things are similar, candidates are not going to have any brand preference. But when it comes to your employment brand, your mission, your vision, your values, the article talks into how to really define those for differentiation. That can make a tremendous difference in creating that emotional connection. So people want to work for you because you don't just give them a good job. You don't just treat them well. They're part of something bigger, something that your brand represents, and they want that connection to you. That emotional bond is what builds employment brand loyalty. So if you can take this little triangle here and think about it right now today in your business. Are you always competitive with the jobs? And if you have jobs that are not competitive, are you telling the clients, hey, you're just not competitive with the market, and either we got to change the job or I've got to change the client because I can't find talent for a non-competitive job? Is your service process, the quality of your service experience, the benefits you provide, is that differentiated to a degree from your competitors? Hopefully it's from most of them you have some differentiation. Probably you can't from all of them, but the real differentiation comes in tying the jobs, your services to your purpose. Do you have a bigger purpose for how you're changing the world? Go read that article. It will show you how to put that together. You'll find that at haleymarketing.com and just go to our blog under resources. All right, so how do we reach the audience? We've got a message. We know who we're reaching. We've got a lot of different things we can put into that message. How do we actually get to them? Well, if we know them because we had a past relationship, they're in our ATS, we can email and text. And we don't have to just send job information. We can email and text information that will be for a passive job seeker, information they'll find useful, interesting, valuable, entertaining. We can do paid advertising. We're going to get into that. That's that passive job advertising. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute. We can use search engine optimization. So when somebody's searching, not for jobs, not for a staffing company, but they're searching around those pain points that you know they have because of you've analyzed the personas. Now can we create content for our website so that we're getting found for more things? We're getting found by passive job seekers, and once we share content with them, we're showing them how life can be better with a better job, how life can be better with the right career partner, how your staffing company can make a big positive impact in their future if they'll just reach out and talk to you. The search engine optimization is how you get ranked. And I remember a client of ours years ago that when they came to us, their website was ranking for about 300 different keywords, which sounds great. A lot of different things people were searching were bringing job seekers to their website. But after we worked with them on a blog strategy and we regularly wrote blog content, within 12 months, that 300 keywords had become 3,000. And we regularly see staffing companies that focus on SEO for passive candidates can get to thousands of keywords and keyword phrases driving job seekers to their website because it's not just about jobs. It's about the interest that 70% of passive candidates, the interest that they have that we're writing content that gets found on search. Social media, we're all there all day long. If you're a Facebook user, you're there 8 or more times a day. If you're on Instagram and TikTok, you're spending 30 minutes or more a day surfing through content. Your clients are there, your candidates are there. How do we engage with them? We'll go back to all of those personas you have and think about each persona. Which social media do they use? How do they use it? What messages can we send to them? We're going to see some examples of this in just a minute. We can look to build more referrals. How good is your referral program? Do you provide meaningful incentives? Do you make it easy for people to submit a referral? Or do they have to jump through hoops? Are you regularly reminding people to provide referrals? You telling people at every possible touch point, hey, you know what? We're looking to fill these job openings and we'll pay you an extra $50, $100, $500, $1,000 when you send a referral who gets hired. I've seen a lot of companies recently doing really big offers, win free rent for a month, win a car. Now it's a contest, not everybody gets it, but there's a psychological principle there that people will do more for a chance to win something big than they will for something that's a small guaranteed payoff. So maybe you want to do something that's a bigger contest as opposed to a smaller guaranteed reward. But either way, you want to make it super easy and super regular to be asking people for referrals and allowing them to submit those referrals. Then there's grassroots and local marketing. And a lot of times we don't think about this for recruiting, but how's your visibility where you are? Are you standing out from the competition? Are you visible? Do people know who you are? Do they know what you stand for? Do they know what you do? Do they know the kinds of companies you work with? So grassroots and local is things that you do, can be local online or local things in the real world, ranging from outdoor advertising to television to lots of other ways to be where your ideal candidates spend their days, nights, and weekends. All right, let's take a look at some examples. So with social content, we're trying to engage each persona that's been defined, each audience, and thinking about what's going to matter to them. So we go back to our list of ideas, and It's not about selling a job. It's about selling the future, a better life, step into opportunity. I love this Labor Max example. In the picture here, yes, it's a stock photo, but it looks like it's a real guy in a real work environment. I mean, not a lot of guys go to work in hairnets, so clearly you can see he's in food services, probably a bakery behind him. So if you're someone in that industry, you go to work dressed like this, you see yourself in the advertisement. That's important for the emotional connection. I love that the tagline, changing people's lives is what we do. Putting them to work is how we do it. They're not selling, hey, here's a job paying $15 an hour. They're selling, we're going to change your life. Another ad by this company, your next job is waiting. Now, this is a little more towards the active job seeker, but the idea here is they're looking for people who are dissatisfied with their current job or on the sidelines. And basically, we're just waiting for you. You come in, you'll be working with us. And you can even see the bottom, work today, pay today, walk-ins, welcome. They're trying to be as inviting as possible to people who want to work. You also want ads that promote your employment brand, or that employee value proposition. So here's a couple of other examples. Staffing Texas and Focus Staff, okay? Staffing Texas, really focusing on the local communities they serve. We're here for the community, we're here for you. Very nice message. Whereas Focus Staff, completely different. Choose adventure. That doesn't even sound like a staffing company, does it? But that's what they're doing is people in healthcare who want the adventure of travel, they're opening the door for them. Big, bold graphics, big, bold headline, easy to see, kind of an interesting, engaging, oh, what's this, what's an open door? And again, the pictures you're seeing when they're shared on social media are surrounded with words that turn these images into calls to action, into getting people from awareness, seeing the content, to interest, to desire, to learning more about these companies. Then we got to get people thinking about new jobs, because remember, we've got passive job seekers. So here's a couple of examples. Looking for some extra cash. Commit to a shift that's right for your schedule. Work when you want. This company's really focusing on, hey, we give you the flexibility you're craving. Okay, and so one example, there's mom and son kind of enjoying time with one another. It doesn't look like a job ad. No, but if you're a mom and you're struggling with issues with childcare and you see a picture that just makes you smile, that brings you into the rest of the content. It's marrying the right images to the right messages that makes good advertising. The other one, just very friendly, inviting. Yes, stock picture. They didn't have to go hire a photographer, but the gentleman who's there, kind of turning, smiling. Okay, you get the feeling that he's happy about the fact that he's got the flexibility and he can get part-time or seasonal openings just because he feels like working now. He doesn't have to make this big commitment, because taking a job feels like a big, scary commitment. Then you want to match the content and the channel to the audience. And another here, this company, Athlete Career Placement, they specialize in placing college athletes into jobs. So I just showed the same graphic designed for two different sizes, but really you want to think about which social channel is my audience on, and then how do I design the content for the various channels? Because depending on age, depending on gender, different social networks have different user profiles. And just like you might choose one radio station versus another, or a print magazine versus another based on their demographics of their audience, social channels have different demographics. Take advantage of that. If you're sharing content into social groups like Facebook groups or LinkedIn groups, there can be very distinct demographics with those groups. Post demographic appropriate content to engage with the audience. You're not discriminating by sharing information that gets people to see themselves in the ads. And if we actually went through all of the things like this company is doing, here we have women playing soccer, they have men playing football, they have professionals who have just entered the workplace. They do a great job mixing up different images to appeal to different audiences. But what they don't try to do is put everybody that they could represent into one picture, because when you try to be everything to everyone, you don't stand out at all. You look completely generic. Then we want to think about conversion paths. So social media isn't going to get more job applications directly. So we have to think about, how do we get people from social to the website to the conversion? And then when our social posts, we want to be thinking about the landing pages we're driving people to. So Athlete Career Placement, Here's an example of a partial landing page they drive people to. It's a single web page with a sole purpose. In this case, they were driving people to it to learn more about their services. But you want to think about, are my social graphics that are engaging with people, do we tell them what to do next? Is there clarity to the call to action? Is it easy to take the action? Have we defined the exact next step? And when they take that next step, is there complete clarity about what they do once they hit their website so we can get to that conversion? Is the conversion apply to a job? No, not if we're doing passive job seekers, because they're not going to apply to a job. So maybe the conversion is get a job alert, get advice on your career, download some great piece of content, watch a video, think about things that your audience would value, promote them with social media, put them on a landing page, and then design the landing page to convert, or use automation to follow up. And I think lastly in this section, when you're thinking about social marketing, you really want to think about building a brand for your company, but also for your individual recruiters, because ultimately candidates work with recruiters, and whether or not they choose to work with you really depends on how much they like your recruiters. So let's make them visible. Let's make them likable. So here's a couple of companies that are really working on personal brands for individual recruiters. They do it on LinkedIn. They do it on Facebook. They're doing it on all their socials to show off people who work for them. They try to show off who these people are, kind of introduce them not just as career coaches, but as people that if you're a job hunter, you might want to get to know. And when your recruiters build personal brands and they start to build personal talent networks, particularly on social media, we can get way better reach for anything you share through their personal networks than you can from a company page, because that's how social media is designed, is that individuals get better distribution of content than brand pages do. With brand pages, you got to pay for the distribution, which is what we're about to talk about next. But getting all of your recruiters to work on building personal brands will do great things for your long-term recruiting efforts. And last but not least here, referrals. Well, I'll take it back. We got referrals and grassroots. So with referrals, you really want to be thinking about everybody who can bring talent to you. So there's a list on here, but brainstorm, like who are all the individuals and organizations that might know the people we want to place, that might be wanting to help someone find a job. And then have that strong referral incentive. Why would someone take the referral? What's in it for them? And even if it's a referral source that's not the direct referee, like maybe it's a religious organization, well, maybe you can work out arrangement with them to help contribute to their organization as you put people to work. That also helps with a good social cause if you're supporting the community. Make it easy for people to respond. Is there a web page they can go to? Can they do it right on their phone? Do they have to remember an email address, a phone number? Is there something with one click I can just send you information about people I want to refer? The easier it is, the fewer steps, the more referrals you'll receive. Follow up with the referrers. This should be common sense, but recruiters are busy right now, and we want to follow up with the people who were referred, but also with the people who did the referrals to say thank you. Send a Starbucks gift card to show appreciation. But we want to nurture the relationships, because as you make those people feel good about the referrals, they're going to be more inclined to provide more referrals to you. All right, and last one is the grassroots or local marketing. So I mentioned TV, radio. I apologize, that's not by remaining space, but that's an error on my part. Buying remnant space, talking to your local TV or radio station about the time they didn't sell. I had a good friend in healthcare recruiting who did this in my local market in Western New York, and he was buying ad space for pennies on the dollar to advertise for nurses, and he had great response from doing short, usually they were 15-second ads for travel nurses, and the TV station helped them put together the commercials. Looking at out of homes, from billboards to car wraps to buses, bus signage to bus shelter signage, anywhere people might be outdoors is a place to potentially engage them in the idea of finding a new or better job. Then there's hiring events, whether they're on your site, your clients' work sites, community-based hiring events, or even mobile recruiting sites or vehicles. I know several staffing companies that have purchased and wrapped recreational vehicles so that they could bring recruiting to events where people were showing up. Getting involved in community service, just increasing your visibility, another great way to make people want to work for you. It's part of building your employment brand. Having a PR, public relations function, so that you're in the news, sharing the great stories of people you're putting to work, being a go-to resource for information on jobs, hiring, and employers in your community. Potentially working with some of your best candidates to become brand ambassadors, actually rewarding them for wearing your company gear and talking about your organization and passing out business cards that people could use to scan a QR code and go apply for a job. Get people to help you spread the word, because you've got this great field workforce that has the potential to be huge talent advocates in helping with your recruiting. Oh, one last thing. I almost forgot. Don't lose people, active or passive. When they come to your website, you need a way to get them to do something. Log in, sign up to get job alerts, download a piece of content. You need them to do something so that you can collect their email address, so that you can then send email follow-ups, so then you can do personal one-to-one follow-up or automation to do follow-ups. And you also want to optimize your website conversions, looking at the analytics on your website to see, where are we losing people? Where do they come in? Where do they leave? Where are we losing people that we could add more opportunities to convert? Better calls to action. I was actually just giving advice to one of our clients on a website we did just a couple of years ago, and I had ideas for all these new calls to action that they could add to their website because of what's going on in the market right now. So you want to be looking at, hey, how can I do a fly-in, a pop-up? How can I take blog posts and turn them into stronger calls to action by having maybe related content come up or an offer that appears at the end of reading a post? We're looking for every way possible to get people to take action so that we don't lose them. You're spending all this money to bring people to your website through your job advertising and all of your recruitment marketing. Let's maximize those people taking response. One of the key pieces of data we learned years ago is that a candidate coming back to your website is twice as likely to apply. So after somebody visits once, we need to get them to visit again. Which brings us to passive job advertising. So how can we use PPC, pay-per-click advertising, to get more people to engage with us? So there's a couple of fun facts. 70% of people start their job search on Google. So are they looking for a job near me? Are they searching by job title? Or are they just searching for an alternative to their current career? Are they looking for something to be transferable? Are they looking to how to get into an industry? I remember we wrote a blog post for an IT staffing company, I think in 2015, on how to become an automation engineer. Well, that post blew up in terms of being linked and referenced from lots of other websites, and all of a sudden we were getting thousands of visitors to that one blog post because people were searching on Google for information about becoming an automation engineer. So the more you know those personas, if people are starting on Google, write content that answers the questions they're asking in their mind, because after their mind, before they go to anybody else, they're going to Google. And again, there's that stat. Returning visitors are 2 times more likely to apply for a job, so we got to get them to come back. Okay, so PPC 101. I apologize for those of you who already know a lot about PPC. This is for those who don't. There's different types of paid advertising. There's search advertising. So when somebody types a keyword string onto Google or Bing, I can be targeting an ad to those people by job, industry, employer, specific content that's related to an industry, events people might be looking for. And you see on the right the picture, you know, when someone's looking for a job, this was an international example I found, the Google for Jobs box will show the answer to their jobs, but above that are the paid ads. So by using PPC, you can actually get above the job listings if you're not showing up at the top of that Google box. But I can also be targeting things that aren't job related, but for passive candidates, the types of things they may be looking about. Maybe there's a big conference coming up for accounting professionals in your community, and you can be developing content about that conference and about the career opportunities that will come to people from that conference, and using PPC to buy an ad to drive people to your content. You can also target your competitors. There's nothing like trying to preempt someone who's searching for a job at a direct competitor, getting them to see your ad before the competitor, and through the text you see in the ad, giving them a compelling reason to come to your website, So you steal their traffic away. Then there's display advertising, the visual ads, not just text-based ads that you see on Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, and other sites. So we can target audiences here by behavior and interest. We can target them by location. We can do something called a matched audience, where we upload a target list and we match that audience, so we'll show advertisements to that same list of people. We're limited in this, but we can do lookalike audiences, finding people who look like the people on our matched audience. We can do retargeting, so people who have visited our website, we can continue to show them our ads to build our employment brand. So clearly this is not everything PPC for those of you who know a lot about it, but just think about it. I can be doing it from search, I can be doing it with display, because they're very different types of advertising. So PPC strategy, remember ADA. We got to get people's attention. So problems are what get our attention first. What are people dissatisfied about in their job, at their current company, with their boss, with their life? That's the stuff they're going to look at. Or we can go on the positive. What are their desires? They want freedom. They want time. They want happiness. They want the better life that more money would bring. And we can design ads that are designed to reach people, not selling a job, but selling their dreams or addressing their problems. Here's a couple of them more on the positive side that are just the images from that went along with pay-per-click ads. And these same ad designs can also be used with organically shared social content. So that's the A. We got to get their attention. Oh, then there's interest. So people will get interest. We can tell them, you have a choice where you work. You don't have to put up with that job you don't love. We can give them fear of missing out, that now is the best time to be looking for work ever. Probably in their entire lives, right now is the best time to be looking for a job. Okay, some more from advanced. I love this lady. She just makes me want to read the ad. Also recently read a stat in another book, and I don't know that we were that intentional on this, but that people in red shirts generate the highest conversion rates of all the color shirts people wear in ads. That has actually been scientifically tested. You can't always find great stock art with people in red shirts, but if you do, have a tendency to pick red first. I love this lady. All right, so here we go. Find a job that fits your passion. It's a job ad. It makes you smile. It's just silly. She may not be the persona of the ideal candidate, but somebody who has a sense of humor may be. So here we're thinking about the personas. We're designing headlines that are around having choice. Don't miss out. We don't have an ad here, but really focusing on pay rates right now, and the opportunity to make more has never been better. It's a really popular or powerful message. All right, then we've got desire. So people want to make more money. They want better benefits. They want better location for work, shorter commute times. They want schedule flexibility. They want remote work. They want upward mobility. They want it to be easy to apply to work with you. They want no risk. They don't want to put their job at risk to be looking for a job. And that's why working with you makes so much sense. All right, here you go. Don't go job hunting alone. One-to-one support helps you find work faster. What a great supportive message. And clearly for people who are working in an industrial setting, here we've got someone welding. Add flexibility to your career. Yeah, maybe I would explain that a little bit more. Work when you want, but you've got a message here that fits the audience who's saying, you know what, the number one thing I want in my job right now in my life is more flexibility and less stress. Hey, staffing company, how are you going to give that to me? With search ads, we can be thinking about how we're going to target keywords for passive job seekers. And again, I've said this a couple times, but I want to reiterate it. They may not be job search related. Things like how-to searches. What are people trying to figure out, get answers to? They can be really relevant. What you don't want to do, though, is pay for an advertisement targeting a keyword that then will go back to a web page that has nothing to do with that keyword, maybe back to specifically a job. Don't do that. You want search ads that will lead to a page that's related to the content of the ad. Now, how do you figure out what to advertise? Well, you can use tools like Google's Keyword Planner to figure out what people are searching for. So you start with a topic and you broaden from there to find things that people are actually searching for and the volume of searches people are doing. You want to consider the searcher's intent. And with passive, again, they're not applying for a job. Their intent is to learn, to get information, to solve a problem, to improve their life. I need to have ads that go around their intent of what they wanted to find. If I buy a keyword and then my text just is all about a job that pays $17 an hour, that probably wasn't their search intent, and they're not going to click on that ad. Just like we talked about with social, we need to have a conversion funnel. We need the search to go to a very relevant offer, to go to a landing page, and then a process for follow-up, whether it's automation or a human. We need a way to make sure that everybody who goes through the conversion funnel is followed up with to get them to be interested in your jobs. And as you find things that don't work, you can include negative keywords, starting to filter out things that are leading to wasted clicks, people coming from search words that didn't produce job applications, that didn't lead to the goals you wanted. So we can eliminate those using negative keywords, take them out of what we're willing to pay Google for. So a couple of examples of some of the display ads that would be along this line of thinking. Now, these are not search ads, these are display ads, but what are we looking for? Who's the audience? We just wanted to make sure we're tying the design. In this case, these are job specific that would lead to related pages, related jobs. All right, so how do you make search ads work? You need to write compelling ad copy. And this is where your real skills as an advertiser, as a marketer come into play. Is the headline tied to the search terms? Is there a specific offer, something of value to the reader? Is the description written specifically to sell that offer? That is the sole purpose of the ad copy, is to sell the offer, not your company, not the job, whatever you are offering that's of value. You want to be authentic and relatable. Talk to the people the way they'd want to be spoken to. And then you can personalize the ads with keywords insertion so that the ads are making the person doing the search instantly recognize, yeah, this is for me. We want to create ad copy that reads well across devices, and watch out for your character counts. Headlines generally around 30 characters, descriptions 90 characters per line. Why? Because when we get to mobile, if it's too long, if it wraps too much, no one's going to read it. So we want concise use of language. And then we want to test and optimize. Advertising is not a pure science, it's an art. So I like the idea of using responsive search ads, which we can test up to 15 headlines and 4 variations of copy all at once to see, is there a difference in performance? And Google's great at giving you that information so it can figure out how to help you optimize your ad spend so you get the most result for your money, and they can convince you to spend more money. All right. So with search ads, you want to look at smart bidding and keyword match types, letting the search engines, Google and Facebook help us to determine the best ways to bid, how much to bid. And there's different ways you can match keywords. You can do exact match to the keywords you're bidding on. You can do using all the words, but not exact order. You can do a wide search that is a broad match, which will get you the maximum number of people seeing your ad, but it's probably likely to get you the most number of unqualified respondents. But Google gives you different ways they can display the ads to try to increase the audience, and you can experiment with those to see what drives the best results. You can use advertising extensions to boost response, a site link, a call information, a location information, a special offer. They're just ways to add content to the ad to make the ad more engaging. You want to make sure you're doing something called UTM tracking, where you're putting codes in that allow you to track the source of each person coming to your website, so you know exactly which ads are working, and you can track them through in analytics with goal setting to see the performance of each ad, to know what yielded the result we really wanted. You can set up that conversion tracking so you can see the whole funnel of how someone comes to your website, where they end up, where you're losing people. You can test and optimize things on your landing pages to try to get better performance out of the pages you're driving people to. All right, with display ads, we want to be looking at where can we reach people most cost effectively. There's so many choices. With search, it was all Google. With this Google and Bing. With display, we've got Google's display network, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, other social networks, YouTube. We want to think about where our audience spends their time. That comes to those personas you developed. We want to leverage the targeting capabilities of each platform. Usually it's based on user behavior and interests, matched audience where we're uploading a list, retargeting, going after people who've been to our website in the past, or on LinkedIn, we can do job title. I will say with Haley Marketing, almost everything we do is Google, Bing, and Facebook, because we find that from a ROI standpoint, those get the best returns. LinkedIn far and away has the best targeting, but the cost per lead is so high that our LinkedIn strategies tend to be all organic content and not paid content because of that cost per click. There may be some skill disciplines where it's worth it to be paying a high amount per click, but for most people listening, LinkedIn's probably not going to be cost effective. All right, display ads. Again, it's very similar advice, except for now we get visuals. So we want to design ads that capture attention with bold visuals, relevant headlines, lots of clarity to what the offer is, considering different formats, static photos, videos, story ads, carousels, which are multiple photos. And then having a strong offer and write your copy to sell the offer. I know I'm being redundant here, but advertising best practices need to go into both search and display advertising, which is thinking about audience and offer as the two primary mechanisms to drive response. The actual creative is less critical than those first two things. And then just like the search ads, designing for mobile, because that's where your ads are most likely to be seen. We can optimize campaign performance. We can A/B test graphics and copy. We can look at where the ads actually got placed and how they performed. We can look at analytics, Google, Facebook, to see what kind of results is each ad getting. And then we can try to adjust elements of the ad to increase the response of the ad itself. And then the landing page performance, we can look at Google Analytics to see how did the landing page perform and what can we do to improve conversion rates on that landing page. All right, and we are, with a few minutes left, going to go through our last strategy, ATS automation. So a lot of you may use Sense, you may use Herefish, you may have other tools that are out there to help with data cleansing, updating contact information, skills and interests, preferences, doing talent re-engagement, nurturing campaigns to stay top of mind, updating information like availability, improving the candidate experience, doing all those follow-up calls, pre-apply automation, post-apply automation. The idea is you're setting up these sequence of activities that ensure a consistent, high-touch experience with talent, whether it's simply to clean up what's in the ATS so that you can use it to try to bring people back to work, or it's through that pre and post apply to minimize the loss of people that no call, no show. So pre-apply automation, it's not just Sense and Herefish. There's chatbots, Sense, Staffing Engine, Olivia, Haley Marketing. You see an example of our chatbot here. There's website conversion rate optimization to create and optimize offers so that people visiting your website who have not yet applied, we're collecting that information about them so we can follow up and get them to the application. We're using marketing automation with your website, HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or other tools to automate follow-up to people who haven't made it into a platform like Sense or Herefish. We're doing talent nurturing, email and texting to stay top of mind, to sell the value of working with your company. And then post-apply automation. Once they've actually applied, now we need to maintain engagement with them. Application response, interview scheduling, job acceptance and pre-assignment orientations, first day reminder and arrival communication. Second day, as well as end of assignment. Not sure what happened. A couple of these things dropped off. But the idea is that we want to make sure that we're in touch with people. Ideally, it's where you can, it's a live recruiter, but that's usually too much work for your recruiters to do that. So automation enables all of these touch points to occur with every candidate every time. All right, now I can move ahead. Wrapping it up with our last minute final thoughts. Let's put it all together. The talent crisis, it's here to stay. And that's actually not a bad thing. That's a good thing for staffing because high demand for talent is the best thing we can have. And right now, high demand for talent and a workforce that's willing to transition, this is probably the best staffing market in most people's careers. To win the passive talent wars, We have to think about the fact that remote and gig work has fundamentally changed the definition of work. You're competing with talent on a global scale, but you can also source globally. The staffing companies of tomorrow, they're going to become experts at helping their clients, companies, to get work done when and where it's most cost effective. To win the talent wars now, this year, know who you want to reach. We talked about that in detail today. Understand why they would care about you and the jobs you can offer. What's your value proposition? Give them a reason to take action. If they're passive, why will they want to talk to you before they're ready to look for a job? What are the offers you can make? Connect with them where they are. Search, social, in the real world. Go big on digital, okay? SEO, paid advertising, reputation management, thinking about all the places people are going to find you online, but don't ignore the real world, your local community, where your offices are, the industries you serve, and the professional associations, the social organizations where you can be highly visible to great talent. Use the automation. Use old-fashioned pick up the phone follow-up. Don't lose people you already have. Think about how to strengthen those relationships. Take advantage of all the tools in your toolbox. There's so much you have. I know we covered a ton, and I'm 1 minute past time because there was so much. But if you do have questions, if you need help with your recruitment marketing, we're here for you. So we are here to help. If you've got questions, we'll actually do a recruitment marketing plan for you. Our team will be happy to look at what you're doing, provide feedback, and make lots of recommendations. Just reach out. That 888-696-2900 is a great way to get started, or info@haleymarketing.com. Either one's a great way to get the conversation started. If you need ideas, and we didn't cover enough today, a couple of other things to look at. Our newsletter. If you don't get big ideas, this is where we share stuff like this. We share ebooks. We share our latest advice once a month. It's also where all of our invites to this webinar come from. So join the list, haleymarketing.com/big ideas. And finally, for today, I hope you'll join us next week. If you like today's intro to paid advertising, you will get a much better description of it next week when our PPC specialists, who know way more than me, will be online to talk about how to scale sales and recruiting using paid advertising. And that's next Tuesday, March 15th, same time, 2 o'clock. And then the end of the month, March 22nd, we were at the Staffing Industry Analyst Executive Forum last week. We took a lot of notes, and the three of us who were there will do our best to capture what we learned and share it with you on Tuesday, March 22nd. All right, from all of us at Haley Marketing, I want to say a big thank you for being part of today's webinar. If you do have questions, again, please reach out. We're more than happy to answer. Thank you so much.